All right, episode 62, Master Your Money Podcast. I'm Ryan Greiser. As always, I got my man Fran Walsh with me, and today we got Maxx Lepselter of Maxx Mgmt. Max is the president of Maxx Mgmt, which is a full-service off-the-field agency that focuses on business management, endorsements, PR for athletes, and marketing as well. He does have an all-star lineup of clients: Trayvon Diggs, Terrell Owens, RG3, Justin Tucker, Donovan McNabb, go Birds, and Jeremy Piven, who is Ari Gold from Entourage. So you are the agent of maybe the most world famous agent, at least on the screen. Is that a fair statement, Max?
To some extent. I appreciate you having me on. Real quick on Jeremy, we struck a relationship a few years back, and kind of just being able to help him and to some extent on a at least per deal basis on marketing endorsements, act as his agent on the deals is pretty cool.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Especially you see him on Entourage. He's just the absolute best character.
Yep.
Right. That's there. So
undeniably, I truly say unbiased, top 5 TV character, regardless of any genre, any show you may watch. He absolutely, in my opinion, goes down as a top 5 TV character ever.
Now, has he yelled at any brand ambassadors or endorsements that you were working on during the process to help you close the deal, or it's all you?
I've gotten him on with several of the brands. He's very direct. He's very honest. To be honest, in a much less obviously agent kind of vibe. He's a similar off the screen where he's got that humor, he's got that charisma, he's got the personality, he's got the intelligence, kind of top to bottom. He's very similar from that perspective. Been a guy who can definitely point blank will tell you what it is and is not shy about making sure that his feeling is known. I think a lot of the projects we work on, he wants it to be known that he definitely understands that that character is a huge reason why he is where he is, but also doesn't want that to be the sole reason that brands engage with him, and wants it to be known that he does stand-up comedy and he's has entrepreneurial vibes where he's trying to get into other projects, other business, other verticals, but fully self-aware in regards to the magnitude of what the character had become and what that did for his overall career.
Love it. Well, enough about that guy for a minute, but dealing with these athletes and celebrities on the screen, on the field, leveraging their persona is a big deal, but then identifying how do they want to market themselves off the field is a whole nother thing. And mostly, I know most of your clients are football oriented or football related, like their careers don't last forever. So I knew you back, 5-7 years ago now, just about, right before you started Maxx Mgmt and started going down this road. So what gave you that impetus to start Maxx and to start to represent these individuals to help them with their off the field management for their second career or to supplement their primary career?
Great question. Obviously, right. I think it goes back to when we initially met. And, I started my career doing a little bit of sports and client entertainment for a company called Thuzio, and then where we met at Today's Athletes. And you always kind of look at those stepping stones on how you got to where you were, and take it one step back to go a couple steps forward. Growing up in the industry where my father represented Tiki and Rondé Barber, was Lawrence Taylor's manager for a very, very long time. I've seen the ins and outs of the business. I grew up going to Pro Bowls, being fortunate enough to have those sort of experiences and kind of see the world from a different lens that your everyday person was not seeing. Tiki Barber, growing up to me was and is family, all the way through. I think my father and Tiki have been together almost 27 years and change now. And
that's unbelievable in your space.
Amazing.
It's incredible. And for me to be able to now work on a lot of Tiki's marketing, see Tiki with my own daughter, full circle. It really is a full circle kind of feel for us. And, with all that said, knowing how my father was, I remember when I was kind of trying to figure out what to do around the time that my tenure with Today's Athletes, I just don't they had a great business, but I don't think from a sports vertical, we were really seeing eye to eye in regards to the growth and what the vision was. And I was looking at several corporate agencies that I was hoping to go start working at. My father said to me, he's like, dude, you know this business? We're entrepreneurs. We have a different mentality. Obviously, again, figure it out. I got your back as much as I can. And I never looked back. So with all that, I felt like even during my tenure with today's athletes, the objective was there. It was really to have a all-encompassing off-the-field agency that primarily started focusing on the NFL side, and then would hopefully evolve into other verticals of talent. But I think a big part of that was being able to understand the difference between the digital marketing and sports marketing landscape, as well as how they intersected. And from there, I think a big part of my mentality was really understanding the evolution of what marketing was becoming. It was very different from when I was growing up. And it was your digital ad, just standard partnerships and kind of standard ways of formulating those, whether it was commercial based or print based. There are so many more elements out there. And then as cliche as it sounds, one thing I learned on and often was your network really was your net worth. And I think in my early 20s, I had cultivated some very strong relationships throughout the industry, top to bottom. And I looked at it as, for a lot of these guys, I could be an asset to them. Obviously, the endorsement side was the bread and butter I wanted to focus on. I wanted and still want to become one of the best sports and entertainment marketing agents in the entire industry, but also being able to be a manager, a soundboard, a guy that my clients can trust, where whenever they need, I don't like to remotely refer to it as a concierge service by any stretch, but being the guy that can really help open up the doors for them, whether it be in business and entrepreneurial endeavors, whether it be in that next space, collaborating with my father, who is unbiasedly one of the best sports broadcasting agents in the entire business, to helping on the PR and brand building aspect. So kind of evolving all these services that I knew we were trying to implement, but before I started my company, and seeing that nearly 5.5 years later up to this point has been pretty cool.
That's awesome. Let's talk about the relationship you had with your dad a little bit, because as a business owner myself with 3 kids, I want to make sure that I give my kids every opportunity they have to be successful in a career. And if they want to take over work in the business one day, I'd absolutely love that. Now, other people say like, no, they're not going to work for me, period. Like, not doing it. Go pave your own path. At least from an outsider's perspective, like, you've kind of paved this unique relationship with your dad where he has his established business. You're not doing exactly what he's doing, but you're complementing it nicely without, solely going off in a completely different direction to run parallel with him with your own business. So how has that felt? Did you feel pressure growing up, like from your father, to get in the business? And how did you guys kind of, come to the relationship that you have today?
I honestly, I don't think you could have described it any better in regards to kind of the structure. About when Tiki was retiring back in around 2007, Mark transitioned out of the NFL side, out of really kind of the marketing managerial side, and went into primarily broadcasting. And at that point, I think I'm in high school at that point, and I'm looking at it like, damn, why are you getting into that side of the business? It wasn't as sexy per se. As
I like standing on the sidelines before the game and holding the trophy.
100%. You're looking at it from a completely different lens. And then as years go on, I started to understand the mentality, and he kind of did it at a time where it wasn't a heavy focus in this industry. And kudos to Strahan, but what Mark was able to do with Tiki back then was kind of the pioneer. He had Tiki was doing CBS and Fox in 2002, 2003, before any current players were ever really doing that during their playing careers. So he had understood that side of the business. And for me, a lot of people would say, anybody who knew me growing up, I remember somebody sent it to me a couple of years ago, sent me a picture of my second grade yearbook, and it said, I'm going to be a sports agent. It's always what I wanted to do.
I don't know any other
ways
second
about that.
grader, by the way, that says, no, I want to be a sports agent in their yearbook.
When we are done, I'm going to send you this picture.
I love it.
It really is incredible. But I always knew I wanted to do it, and I think just exactly as you described it, my father was being in his own rodeo for all these years and not being under a corporate entity. He has always had to really juggle the marbles, protecting his image, and he never wanted to make it look like a mom and pop shop, regardless of how talented I may have been or how much I wanted to get in the business. At the end of the day, what I was looking to do and what he was doing were separate businesses. He was a broadcasting agent. I was looking to do off the field ventures for outside of broadcasting. So as we've said, endorsements, business, and PR, primarily the endorsements and business front, for current and retired players. So as I got it going, big part of it was he said, you're not going to work for me. Both of us knew it wasn't going to be the right fit. Aside from our personalities, we are very alike personality-wise, and it wasn't going to be the right dynamic. But of course, as my father and as my supporter, he said, bro, I got your back. Give it a shot. Let's see what you can do, and we'll figure it out. And all these years later, we have this kind of quote unquote strategic partnership where they are completely two separate entities, but Maxx Management is able to cross over and assist a lot of Maxx Sports Entertainment clients on their marketing endeavors. And a lot of the Legends clients that I've known since I was a kid, since this is our everyday business, we have since really started to run point on their marketing efforts from that standpoint outside of TV broadcast media. So it has been such a unique dynamic, and I don't see many people doing it. At the end of the day, I got a lot of respect for any father-son duos, brother duos in this business that work together. But I don't know if there's anybody doing what Mark and I are doing in terms of separate entities that work together on a near everyday basis.
And there certainly had to be a ton of pressure with that because, while you're starting up this strategic alliance, working together for the first time, your father has a reputation of, 20, 25 years built up.
Yep.
That's got to be a lot of pressure on you to be like, hey, I'm just starting my business here. I got to make sure I'm not messing this stuff up for him.
Probably the number one in terms of, if we were to rate it from a pressure standpoint, 1,000%. That was probably the number one thing on my mind on a daily basis, and still to this day always is, just kind of remembering. And it's incredible when I connect with so many people that two sides to it. One will always say to me how incredible and how he's always conducted himself in business, and me needing to make sure I give that exact same exact same vibe, mentality, and impression. And on the I think on the other side of it as well is making sure I'm protecting my image while protecting his.
Yeah. So talk about that dynamic a little bit when it comes to you representing clients. So from my understanding, at least, you got two separate people. You got the guys that are still playing who are looking to add marketability and revenue on top of their salaries and their bonuses that they're getting. And then you got the TOs of the world who are looking to do off the field ventures and still able to do marketing contracts because of their name, their image, and their likeness to partner with brands. So maybe let's talk about the on the field guys first, like the Trayvon Diggs of the world. So in practice, what does that actually look like, and what do you bring to the table to help a guy like him generate extra revenue?
I think a lot of it is touching on two sides of that. On the retired legend side, I have kind of built out a nice niche collaborating with a lot of legends, whether they're exclusive clients or non-exclusive. Plus, my head of talent actually came from the NFL league office under the marketing communications arm. He ran a lot of the legend side. So he also had organic relationships with legends. During COVID, we started working a little bit on talent procurement. So, we don't have the infrastructure or capacity to be agency of record for corporate brands per se, but we've become the preferred vendor for a lot of companies, or at least one of their main go-tos, just by the way we have executed our ability to get to just about any talent And when I say any talent, we've been able to get to any talent in the right capacity. Whether it's going to, I think I've built a reputation of doing it the right way, where it's not always just about, even if you have an indirect to a player, but you know who the representation is, you go through the representation, the proper chains of communication, the proper channels of kind of how this business works. And I feel like we've done a very good job of being able to kind of have that respect and balance, where we're not always just trying to go to the player direct. We're trying to work through the representative. And by that, you gain a lot of respect and appreciation. And a lot of other agents who are quote unquote competitors will view you as an ally and say, hey, you know what? Maxx Management brings business to our clients. They do it the right way. They're not out presenting that they represent our talent, but they're out there saying, hey, due to our relationships, we have the ability where we have one phone call, one chain of communication to get that deal done, execute it properly. So with that, we've been able to build so many authentic relationships with brands. So when you look at it like a Trayvon Diggs, we had Trayvon Diggs in a National Oakley commercial with Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Derwin James, Aaron Jones. At this point, 4 years ago, all those guys were first or second team All-Pros as a second-round rookie cornerback. So kind of just goes to show, I think, the magnitude of respect through relationships, appreciation through relationships. And then, different off-the-field ventures like creating T.O.'s 81 Vino, his customary wine that he was an owner in. It wasn't a paid endorsement. He had ownership in this business through royalties, commission, standard ownership in the entire overall entity. I feel like we've just done a unique job of showcasing different collaborations, different partnerships. And one thing I think I learned early on through today's athletes and at the start of Maxx Management, so many of our competitors, rightfully so, want to target skill position players. We have built a reputation on being able to execute and deliver for defensive players. And oftentimes, a lot of defensive players are not getting top level partnerships, top tier off the field money. Justin Simmons, who's a longtime client, one of the best guys in the industry. Has upward of 10 plus corporate relationships and doing very well for himself off the field. But a lot of it is the athletes being able to put in that level of, I think, engagement, effort on the other side, and being able to show that they want to they want to be involved in their off the field ventures. I think there's a misnomer that a lot of professional athletes think they're going to make money off the field because they're a professional athlete, but it doesn't work like that. Just like I don't think on the field performance directly equates to off the field revenue. There's a healthy balance across the board on all that. There's a lot of guys who may not be top tier players, but they've done a great job of branding themselves, putting out content. And at the end of the day, they're getting more opportunities than the top level guys performing on the field.
Yeah. Now, one question I have just based on something you said was, you talked about T.O. having ownership in, 81 Vino, which I assume is just like his own wine or something like that. Yeah. So are you guys the ones coming up with these ideas, basically saying like, hey, what are the things you're interested in, and then going out and finding the brand deals? Or like, how do you even think of like, oh, this would be a great gig for a guy like T.O., right? Because just being a football fan, like, I have no idea if T.O.'s a fan of wine or, anything like that. Yeah. So how do you guys go about finding the right deals for the right guys?
Great question. And one thing I'm very proud of with myself personally and my business has been the evolution of understanding. Like I was always great at selling. I always knew talent, but it was then kind of combining those and then being able to come up with some of the creative thoughts, being able to understand branding, not just marketing, endorsements, and sales. Because part of, as I was saying a couple minutes ago, branding has been a huge part of, I think, the evolution of where sports marketing is. So with that, the side of understanding your clients, actually sitting down, there's been several talent that we've been trying to work with, have conversations on, and we've said to them, we need to get a better understanding of who you are, what you like to do. Because anybody, you could throw paint at the wall and see what sticks for guys who are performing on the field. But if a brand has no idea why it could make sense, what's the story behind it? I think the storytelling aspect is so big with marketing now. So with that, yes, it's understanding the client, sitting down and saying, hey, what are some of the things that you are interested in? So whether that's T.O., who had a big affinity for wine, he's had a big affinity for fitness, obviously. He stayed very fit for a guy who's in his late 40s. His affinity, his basketball alignment. He's always, basketball was his next big love, and he likes to cross promote into for a guy like Justin Simmons, who's enormous on community, philanthropic, family, religion, I think faith, mental health, just getting an understanding and aligning the clients with endemic partnerships kind of in those verticals is a big part of it at this point. Obviously, for sure, Trayvon Diggs is is a all-pro corner for the Dallas Cowboys, one of the biggest markets in the NFL, if not the biggest, with the last name that he commands, obviously with an all-pro brother. So yeah, you're going to get a lot of interest and a lot of opportunity. But being able to tie in his son, who's become like his own mini talent and mini star. A couple of years back, I don't know if you guys saw it. I remember we had Aiden on for that pre-Thanksgiving game. After he became known for the Hard Knock stuff. So just again, coming up with different concepts, media and brand marketing, to be able to kind of sell our clients and create opportunities.
Yep. Absolutely love it, man. So what's next for Maxx when you look at the business before we get into some of best and worst money moves that you've seen?
It's always hard. I think the simple, correct, and realistic answer is just continued growth. I want to keep evolving. I want to keep growing the team. We have since diversified into other talent categories, whether it be entertainment, celebrity, micro, macro content creators. We've seen a pretty big shift in a lot of companies looking to get sports adjacent talent for brand deals. We've seen a lot of different talent verticals that we hope to get in. The NFL has always remained the bread and butter, always will. But we know we absolutely have to diversify and have other talent categories while continuing to grow the team, grow our services, wanting to do more and really showcase that we are a fully all-encompassing off-the-field agency. Because there are definitely services that we hope to improve on further and show that, hey, we have the ability to do this. Hey, we understand we are here in the endorsement category, but maybe out, whether it's the PR, whether it's the event, whether it's the philanthropic side, continue evolving those services.
Love it, man. So best money move you've seen, maybe personally or just in your experience when it comes to the financial side of things?
I'll give you two quick ones on that. Personal, I've been with my wife since I was, nearly 18, 19 years old. Always been a team and always have said, knowing where we wanted to be and go with our family, I wanted to create long-term wealth. I worked very hard. I grew up with a father who worked extremely hard. So I bought my first investment property when I was 26 years old. As soon as I was able to afford that down payment, even before we got our first home that we lived in, we were still living in our apartment, and we just kind of felt like it was best off get our first property, which is ultimately going to be handed to my daughter when she's 18.
Love it.
And on the business side, client of mine who, I'm very close with on a friendship level at this point. We've kind of still work together, but he's diversified so much in different categories that we don't really, I think he was best suited bringing in additional help, was Devon Kennard. I think Devon Kennard is the staple for professional athletes following the blueprint. Played 9 years in the NFL, retired about a week ago officially, and he is involved in 69, if I'm not mistaken, real estate investments, whether it's syndicates or property of his own. I think he owns about 20 to 30 that are his own. He wrote a book on financial literacy primarily for athletes. So best money move I saw was a guy who had a nice NFL career, no doubt, wasn't a perennial Pro Bowler, didn't make generational kind of wealth, spent a majority of his money investing during his playing career, where now he has built a niche in terms of what he's able to do post business wise in that space, as well as income wise since he's done playing.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We need to get him on. You're the second person that's brought him up. We had Justin Pugh on a few months ago, and he talked about how fantastic Devon was as well.
Yeah, I've had a few back and forth with Devon on Twitter about investing and things of that nature.
He's a good dude. I will connect the three. I will connect us via email, post call. Pugh I worked with, of course, at Today's Athlete, and again, same thing. We were no longer working together once I wasn't there, but stayed somewhat in contact. I saw he got into real estate. My brother also owns a property management business in South Florida. So, which I'm involved in. I try and connect the dots to different people. So Justin and I reconnected on some potential real estate opportunities. And I think that quickly goes back to exactly what I was saying from the business front. For myself as well, it's outside of Maxx Management business. I think me, the entrepreneur, I love trying to help athletes. I don't try and remotely act as their financial advisor, their business manager, but being from that standpoint on the investment side. But if I'm able to connect the dots, make the correct intros, and it gets vetted through their internal people on that front, that's all I can try and do is help guys create opportunity.
Absolutely love it. So let's jump maybe to the other side. Worst money move that you've seen or made?
Worst money move I've seen. I'll say I've seen some of my clients overspend and not look at the long-term picture. You've seen a lot of I often say that I think, as much as I love how people are trying to kind of go that LeBron and Kevin Durant path, at the end of the day, most athletes, probably literally 99% of athletes, will not incur that kind of money where they're able to just strictly work on their endorsements, but work off their endorsement money, and take on equity deals as a whole because they have made so much other money. But I think the Gronkowski blueprint, he probably was making, I don't know, I would say anywhere in the height of his career, $4 to $6 million maybe off the field, and he was never working on, never spending his on the field money. At the end of the day, I've seen a lot of athletes that we've worked with spend way too much money early on and make unnecessary purchases when they absolutely can leverage their relationships, when they can say, hey, you know what? Let me wait till I get to that next contract or that next year of my guaranteed money or my next six-figure endorsement deal, et cetera, before spending. So, I can't sit here and say the worst money move I've personally seen a guy make, but I can say I've definitely seen some athletes overspend when they don't need to be, and they could be focused on long-term wealth. And on my end, it's a great question. I'm trying to think. We've all, I can't pinpoint like a single worst, but I think we've all had those kind of different dynamics where we've said, did I need to make this purchase? Yeah. Nothing's coming to mind this second, but there's definitely been things over the years I'm like, shit, I did not need to buy that.
Look, if there's not one major story off the top of your head, that's probably a good thing. That means you've probably done a relatively good job of not making any disaster decisions.
Just a couple dumb ones here and there consistently over the years. Totally fair.
That's exactly it. Couple dumb ones consistently where I've spent money but I've always felt like I think early on as I started to make things happen, do well for myself, however we refer to it. I felt like I was at a healthy balance of trying to invest my money, put money away, and try and make sure I was at least protected from that standpoint. And then obviously, yes, your everyday kind of moves that don't need to be made.
So as we're wrapping up here, man, if you had to go back and talk to your younger self a little bit about building wealth and looking at a brighter future for you, what would you tell your younger self, given the experience that you have now running your business?
I think I think don't sweat the small stuff. Keep reinvesting into yourself, into the business. Listen to people who have had the experience. You can't act like you have all the answers. You need to be a sponge. You need to take advice from the right people. You need to make sure that one thing I've learned, it was one thing being good at the job, but having to be an owner, be a boss, be a manager, and grow a team and understand the ins and the outs of operating a business. I wish I paid more attention early on making sure I was a little more buttoned up. I think in my early 20s when I started the business, I think it could have alleviated certain headaches. I think it could have helped additional immediate growth and success. And I think continuing to make sure I maintain the mentality and had the mentality of don't spend, be smart. Obviously, you work hard. You got to take care of yourself. You want to treat yourself right, but grow. You have years and years and years to make money. Put it away. And make sure that you are looking at the future. Make sure you are protecting yourself. Make sure you are doing the right things and getting with the right people. And lastly, if it's too good to be true, it typically is. Don't just jump at the first easy opportunity you get that sounds like, oh my God, this is a grand slam no-brainer. Oftentimes they happen to not be the case.
Awesome. Well, listen, man, I really appreciate the conversation today and some of the transparency and insight into a world that a lot of people are interested in. So if people want to check you out online, social, where can they find you?
Maxx Management on Instagram, Maxx Mgmt on LinkedIn, all social. Myself personally, Maxx Lep on all social, and always love connecting with people. Well, I think you and I always had a mutual understanding. No intro is ever a bad intro. No conversation is ever a bad convo. You never know where it can lead, no matter what. So I truly greatly appreciate the opportunity. I will definitely connect you guys with Devon, and hopefully we can find some other ways to work together in the near future.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. Well, listen, I appreciate you, and we'll catch up soon, all right?
Thank you again.
Thanks,
Talk
man.
soon.